What's going on, folks? In this video we're going to go over sequence operations in Python. In the last video we talked about sequence types such as lists, strings, tuples, sets, ranges. Um, so sequence operations, I have a list of a bunch of sequence operations available here. What we can start out with by defining a list. My list equals, let's say, A, B, oops. Say A, B, and 1 and 2, mixing some characters and numbers in that list. Let's say if A in my list print found, else print not found. And run that. You'll see that A is found. What if you were looking for Z? Of course, you'll expect to see not found. Alright. So that's the first one. X in S, true if an item of S is equal to X, else false. Now you could say, you could try if Z not in, you use a not in and change these around. So if Z is not in my list, print not found, else print found. Okay, so it's not found, so that's the not in command. Let's try out the concatenation. Before we do that, let's jump over to my string equals hello world. And let's say if hello in my string print found. Okay. And delete this code. And so we should see that we should see the word found. And this time I used a string instead of a list, and I used the same command in. Same way you could say not in. If Z not in my string, print not found. And it's not found. Alright. Now let's do concatenation. So there's your list. My list 2 equals, let's say C. My new list equals my list plus my list 2. Print, let's delete this old code. Print my new list. So what we're doing is using the plus sign to concatenate these two lists. And lists are going to maintain the order. Anyway, we're going to end up seeing the C at the end there. Okay. And what if we were doing strings? So we could say print hello plus world. So we have two strings, and we're just using the plus sign to concatenate them. Alright. Throw in a space. Or I could have done the space separately. Like that. Similarly, I could have done it I could have done it inline. I could have done like print a list of 1, 2, plus 3, 4, plus a list with just 5 in it. That's concatenating 3 lists in place without defining variables for them. Alright. Now, next is the star operation, which is like kind of multiplying it. So let's say my list to, let's take this out. My new list equals my list 2 times 3, and run it. Oops. Run that. And you see it's multiplied it and kept it in one single list, but 3 times the values. What if you're doing the original list times 3? Run that, and we'll get a much longer list where it's just repeating all the values 3 times. Alright? Same thing you could do with print hello world times 3. And you'll see hello world printed 3 times like that. Throw in a space to make it look better. Alright. And the 3 could have been over here also on the other side of it. Okay. Now if you wanted to get a value in the list or string, or these can also work for sets and tuples as well. So if I had my tuple equals 1, 2, 3, first value, or let's just say print my tuple 0, that's gonna print out the first value of it. I'm gonna make a string out of that, make sure it prints instead of trying to print an integer. So it prints that 1, the first value. Say if I want to print the second value, or the third value, sorry, then that would be the second index. Run that. Say if I was printing the middle value, it's the first index, which is 2. What if I wanted to, say if it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what if I wanted to get to the last value, say if I didn't know how many values were in the tuple, or lists, or string, I could say -1. Alright, so -1 is the index that points to the last value in whatever you're referring to. So say if I'm working with my list 0, let's print that. What are we going to see? And should see an A. What about my list 3? Or 2, sorry. My list 2, we should see a 1. I had to string that. What would happen if I didn't string it? It's still printing the 1 for me. It's just showing me that integer, even though it's not a string. It's good to convert these to strings before you print out an integer, just for that's what you're going to want to do in practice. And what if you had -1? should see the last value again in that list, and that'll work for string as well. If you wanted to grab any of the indexes in the string, you can get the ith item of that string. Now, what if you had a string equals, say if it's hello universe, and then print my string. Now, if you wanted a range of characters in it, like 1:3, and run that, that's just going to get the E and the L, because that's, and it's going to get up to n-1 on the second value, so it's not going to include the 3. So it'll go from 1 to 2 is the indexes that it will include. And that's your slice from I to J. But really it's J to J minus 1. What if you wanted to say like this, 1:? Run that. And that'll go colon, and if you leave it blank, it'll go to the end of the string. Or say if you had a -1 here, what's going to happen? It should truncate the exclamation point, because it's not going to include that last index in that string. Again, this will work for the list. So if you had my list, this will work for the tuple also. This will also work for a set. But in this example, I'm doing with the list, so it's taking out the first and the last value of the list. In this example, is the list. Let's see. That's basic slicing. That's what it's called whenever you have that the colon with the brackets. Now let's do slicing with a step. So let's 5, 6, 7. That's more values there on the tuple. Print my tuple 0, 5, 2. That should go up to 0 to 4, skipping. Let's say 0 to 7. 2. And I'm getting some kind of error here, looks like. Unexpected types, tuple indentate. Maybe tuple doesn't like this type of slicing. Let's try it with the list. Apple and pear. Alright, my list 2. I think what happened in the last one was because I went past the let's see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think it was outside of the range, maybe. Tuple indices must be integers or slices, not a tuple. I'll have to go look at see what I did wrong there. And I'm getting this similar error again. Alright. Oh, I'm using commas. Of course. I was putting a tuple inside of there instead of colons. So now I'll run it with colons, and you'll see that's of course how you slice. So it's skipping every other value all the way up to apple, because it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. so it includes 6 and it excludes the very last one here. And it's your, what if this was a 3? And then it skips every third value. And what if I was using the tuple again? I think that should work now. And with your tuple, it's 1, 4, and 7, because I'm skipping to every third value. 1, 2, 3. Alright. What if you want to get the length of your string or list? You could just say list length equals length and print that out. len is your length command, so you know that your list length of your original list is 4. Or you could want it maybe print length of my string. I'm going to string that integer out. And it says it's 15 characters in Hello Universe. Alright. And the minimum, so the minimum value, I'm not sure how it's going to work with characters and numbers combined, but if you have, say, your tuple, print min my tuple, I guess it might go by ASCII kind of stuff if you're combining. Smallest item. Let's try that with the lists here. Okay, my min is not working for some reason. Let's see here. Not sure why that's not working. Let me try this again. Print min AB. AB being your list. And it found the minimum is A that time. Let me change this to my list. I found the minimum. I don't know what I had. Some typo there last time I tried it. And I could do the minimum of the tuple. Maybe it didn't. It didn't like the minimum in the tuple for some reason. Not sure why. And print minimum of my string. And it didn't like that. So maybe it can't do the minimum in the string, not sure exactly. But we saw it would work out with the list. If you have it's going to be your most common example, is using a list and probably finding the minimum value in it. Similarly, print max my list. And it's 4, your maximum value in that list. And let's see, the next couple we have here is index of the first occurrence of x in S at or after index. Okay. So say if we're trying to find S index equals, or let's call it 3 index equals my list dot index um, 3 index 3. Let's call it index 3 because the value is 3. Print index that's valued at 3. And run that. And we see the index is 2 because 0, 1, 2 shows that it's the value 3 is index 2. Let's do it with string. So index E, you'll find the first E, and we'll do change that. My string E is not in the list. It's supposed to be my string. And this is supposed to be index E. Okay, so it said it found E at index 1, 0, 1. What if we do it the other way, where we have an I and a J, where, say if we wanted to start at 3, at index 3, run, it's going to find 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's going to find that at index 10. Or say if we wanted to have at 10, comma, negative 1, 10 to the end of the list, or 10 to the end of the string. Run it. Let's say 11. So we want to include the 10, and then we found the last E this time. This one at 13. And this could have been equal to 14 if you want. And it found 13 again. Alright, so that's your bunch of sequence operations. And I have some more sequence operations now. These are your mutable sequence operations. These are the ones that can change the values. So let's pull these, delete these. Okay. And here we go. S sub I equals X. That's going to change that value. So my list 0 equals apple. Print my lists. And put apple in place of the first value there. Same way you could have said my string 0 equals, you could say apple also. And say my string. Run. Maybe you didn't like I guess it didn't like the putting multiple values into one value. So let's put a Z there. Now that, I'm not sure why it didn't work. That should have worked. Yeah. It works in the list. For some reason that doesn't work in the string. So anyway, moving on to Sij equals T. So for your list, you could say my list 0:1 equals 1 comma equals 5:6. And print. So I put 5:6 instead of 0:1, which was just instead of 0, really, because the 1 it doesn't include the second value in your range of your slice there. So I could have said 0:2 if I wanted to replace the first two values, 5:634, or I could have said 5:6:7. And I don't think this is going to work with the string for some reason, but let me try it. My string equals say if I want to blank them out. And I guess it doesn't work with strings, this maybe because it's not considered a mutable sequence, I guess, oddly. I'll have to look into that. Anyway, next is delete. So I guess we'll just do all these for, I know they'll work with tuples. They won't work with tuples actually for sure. But let's just go ahead and do all these with the list. Del say if we had more values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Del my list 0 took out the first value there. Now what if we had 0, 5 I guess it wants that. It wants. Oh, it's no commas. 0:5. And we have like that. It takes out the first 0 through 4 indexes. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what if you wanted to skip every other one? Keep putting commas. Okay, need to be colons. And you see we have every other value here. And up to 5, and then it continues. It's not skipping for 7, 8, 9. Because I have it only going up to 5, index 4. My list dot append 10 print my list. There we go, it's added a 10 to the end of it. And we could do clear my list dot clear. Print my list. And it's a blank list now. We could have also done del space my list with just a colon, and then I'll go from the beginning to the end. Alright. Extend or plus equals. So my list dot extend 10. And run it. You want to have a list here, actually, a list type. So you're extending one list with another list. And then you see the 10 at the end. Or you could say 10, 11, 12. Alright. Or we could have said my list plus equals 10. And then, oops, run that. It's added a 10 to it. What if we had a second list? With 10 and 22. And my list plus equals my second list. Print my list. Run that. And we see 10 and 22 added to the end of it. Okay, that's your two ways of extending your list with another list. Now we have the times equals. I think we've done something similar to that already with just the times. But we can say my list times equals 3. And run that. See 3 times the list from 1 through 9. We have the insert command, so you can insert it into a given index. So my list dot insert 4, 100. see at the fourth index, you'll see the 100, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth index is now 100. My list.pop. Let's say if you do it with nothing in there, it should pop off the last value. So the 9's not there anymore. What if you do a -2? That'll pop off the second to last value. So the 8's gone. What if you wanted to pop off the third value? Run. And it's popped off. What if you wanted to value equals that and then print value? It also pop also returns that value, so you could set something equal to it, so it returns 4 there. Let's see, my list dot remove 3. So it'll remove, sorry, yeah, 3. It'll remove the number 3. From that list, rather than the index. Okay, so 3 was actually 0, 1, 2, the second index. And reverse. I think there's supposed to be some quotes there, so let's print my list. Throw in these quotes. And that's how you get a reverse of your list. Alright. Let me just test out if... I know these work for strings, some of these. I guess not. I guess a lot of these don't work for strings. Oh well. And I guess that has to do with the definition of a mutable sequence, because a string is not exactly a mutable sequence? I don't know. But yeah, there's string operations that I guess we'll be going over as well in the future videos. But these all work for lists, and all of these work. The first list of them works for sequence operations for strings, lists, sets, tuples. Anyway, it's been quite a long video here, and hope you guys got something out of it and learned some of these operations for slicing and analyzing these specific sequence types in Python. See you on the next video. Bye guys.